What is going on, Jet fans? I am Matt O'Leary, back with another video. Today, what I want to get into is the 5 best options for the New York Jets at backup quarterback. That is something that the Jets kind of punted on in very much so did punt on in 2023. They said that we are comfortable with a Zach Wilson, Tim Boyle QB2 competition, even though Tim Boyle is an unserious quarterback that was rostered for pretty much the entirety of the season. And Zach Wilson, which just not my opinion, based on what the New York Jets said, they wanted him to get a reset, and then they said, oh wait, no, actually he can be QB2, and then forced to start right away, even though that was not what they said. Anyway, stupid idea in 2023. So they need to have a good backup quarterback in 2024, especially when you consider that Aaron Rodgers, their now 40-year-old quarterback, is coming off a season where he missed the entirety of it because he got hurt 4 plays into the season with an Achilles injury. So we hope, we pray we never have to see any of these backup quarterbacks, but with the Jets' history, it would be wise to get a backup quarterback in here. They have not had a quarterback start and complete an entire season since Geno Smith in 2013. You had Ryan Fitzpatrick start 16 games in 2015, but if you remember, in the game on the road in Oakland, he got hurt. Geno Smith had to re-enter, and Fitzpatrick would return the following week and end up starting every single game that year, but a majority of that game was played by Geno Smith. Anyway, let's get into my 5 best options. Now, these 5 guys are not in my top 5 order, so we're not starting from 1 and going to 5. These are just, I looked at all the guys who are UFAs, and I found, in my opinion, the 5 best. I will tell you my favorite option. How about that? Can we call that one fair? I will tell you my favorite option for the bunch, but we will start with Ryan Tannehill. Ryan Tannehill is going to make this list for a few reasons. By the way, he is 36. He's turning 36 in July. He has a projected contract of 2 years, $11 million. So you're looking at about $5.5 million AAV, average annual value. He is not the guy that he once was in Tennessee or even going back to his days in Miami. In fact, he struggled a little bit this year. In 8 starts, a 64.8 completion percentage, 1,616 yards, 4 touchdowns to 7 interceptions. 3 of those picks came in game 1 of the season. A 78.5 passer rating. The year prior, 12 starts, a 65.2 completion percentage, 2,536 yards, 211.3 yards per game, 13 touchdowns, 6 picks, a 94.6 rating. He has 151 starts in his career. It was reported last year that the New York Jets were higher on Ryan Tannehill than most teams, and they also have 2 guys that Tannehill is very familiar with in Todd Downing and Keith Carter on the coaching staff. So I'm not necessarily saying that it's the best option in the world, but when you look at the veteran backup options, he would still make my top 5, even with the time he missed last year and his struggles. He's someone where if he had to come in for a game or 2, you could do a lot worse than Ryan Tannehill. All right, number 2 on my list is Gardner Minshew. He's 27 years old. He'll turn 28 later this year. His projected contract, 2 years, $17.5 million, so a little bit more pricey than a Ryan Tannehill. He started 13 games for the Indianapolis Colts after Anthony Richardson went down earlier in the year. In his 13 starts, 15 touchdowns, 9 picks, a 62.2 completion percentage, 3,305 yards, an 84.6 rating. He started 37 games in his career. Going back to his rookie season in Jacksonville, that was probably his best season. He played a little bit in year 2. That was the year where they were tanking and out-tanked the 2020 Jets. Spot starter, backup really in Philadelphia for a couple of years, and then signed to be the backup / potential bridge guy in Indianapolis. But 37 career starts, career passer rating 90.2, 59 touchdowns to 24 interceptions in his career. You could do a lot worse. Gardner Minshew, I would classify as a high-end backup, good spot starter. I don't know if he's someone who is ever going to really get that chance to be a 16, 17 game starter. Like going into season, he's signed to be a team starting quarterback, but I would classify him as a high-end backup, and I would absolutely be interested if he was available. He's a fun guy to root for, too. Like, he just has a good personality. I love his look with the long hair and the mustache and the jorts and all that stuff. His dad's intense and, a classic football guy. I think that one would be one that I'd be excited about as QB2. Option number 3 is my favorite option, Jacoby Brissett. 31 years old, his projected contract 2 years, $15 million. He was excellent for Washington in very limited use. He came in against the New York Jets on Christmas Eve and torched them, actually. He finished the season only attempting 23 passes, but was 18 of 23, a 8.3, or is it 76.3? No, 78.3. Can't read my own notes. 224 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions, and a 146.8 rating. Good Lord, that's impressive. As for his performance in Cleveland last year, he started 11 games when Deshaun Watson was suspended. In 2022, he threw for 2,608 yards, 12 touchdowns, 6 picks, 7.1 yards per attempt, and an 88.9 rating. He is in that same boat as Gardner Minshew. He's a little bit more conservative, I would say, than Jacoby's a little bit more conservative than Gardner Minshew. Minshew, I think, at times could be more of a gunslinger. Brissett is your prototypical backup, not going to make a mistake. Like, if you had to predict what a stat line of what he was going to do for the comparison with Jacoby and Gardner Minshew, you can get a Gardner Minshew game where he's going to go for 300, 2 touchdowns, no picks, but you might also get a game where he goes for like 2 touchdowns and 3 picks, where Jacoby Brissett pretty much is going to give you around 65% completion percentage, $180 to 205 yards, 1 touchdown, no picks, and like just a very conservative stat line. But that's what you want, or at least what I want, is something stable at the backup spot, and that's exactly him. He has 48 career starts, by the way. Number 4 on my list is Tyrod Taylor, 34 years old now, 1 year, $3 million is his projected contract. I have always been a Tyrod Taylor fan, even going back to when he was in Buffalo. I really like Tyrod, and now at this point in his career, I just think a quality backup, maybe not as high end as a Gardner Minshew or Jacoby Brissett. I would say he's a tier below and doesn't have maybe as much of the upside as a healthy Ryan Tannehill in his peak, but he's a couple years younger than Ryan Tannehill. And in 5 starts this year, he played pretty well. 64.4 completion, 5 touchdowns, 3 picks, 1,341 yards, and 89.1 rating. 58 starts in his career. Solid backup. Has a really pretty deep ball. He's not afraid to push the ball down the field. So, again, I've always liked Tyrod. I think he's an underrated backup level quarterback. And my final guy on this list, he's probably my least favorite option, but you could probably do a lot worse than this guy, and that's Marcus Mariota. 30 years old. His projected deal, 1 year, $3 million contract. He played in 3 games this year. Didn't start. It was 15 of 23, 65.2 completion percentage, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, 164 yards, and a 7.1 yards per attempt. He did start 13 games for Atlanta in 2022, 61.3 completion, 15 touchdowns to 9 picks, 2,219 yards, 170.7 yards per game, and an 88.2 rating. I don't think he is anywhere close to what he was earlier in his career. Not that he was great earlier in his career. He does have some running ability. He started 74 games in his career. Would I feel comfortable with him having to be my team starter? If I was a 2022 Atlanta Falcons fan, would I have loved the quarterback room of Desmond Ridder and Marcus Mariota? Probably not. I probably wouldn't have. But as a backup quarterback, I think that's exactly what his role is in the NFL at this point. I would not put him on that same tier as the Minshew Brissett level. He's probably in that Tyrod Taylor bunch, but I would say he is a good backup quarterback. So, and by the way, any of these 5 guys listed, even Ryan Tannehill, I think all 5 of them would be considered massive upgrades over what the New York Jets had last year. And it's a position that they cannot ignore in 2024. Let me know your thoughts down below in the comments. Let me know who you would like to see the Jets backup quarterback be. I'm Matt O'Leary, and I will catch you next time.